To those of you on the path of personal growth or self-transformation, I want to offer a small reminder. Be gentle with yourself. Be patient. Be kind. Growth almost never happens in the way our minds expect or want it to happen. We tend to imagine progress as something visible and steady, with clear steps, sudden changes, and an undeniable sense that we're getting somewhere. But real inner growth is usually much quieter. Much of the time, it's like planting a seed. When you plant a seed, nothing seems to happen for a while. The ground looks barren. There's no movement, nothing to see, no sign of anything happening. But beneath the surface, something crucial is taking place. For a while, the seed is completely surrounded by darkness, simply resting, taking in moisture and nutrients in preparation for what is to come. And this part of the process cannot be rushed. It cannot be forced. It must simply be allowed to unfold in its own time. And our inner growth often unfolds in the same way. You might hear an idea or have an insight or start observing yourself with more clarity and awareness, and for a while, nothing happens. There's no sudden change, no noticeable transformation. In fact, sometimes things can feel worse for a little while. At first, awareness can bring discomfort. It can bring up shame, self-judgment, or a sense of inadequacy. And it's not that awareness creates these feelings. It's that these feelings were always there. They were what previously kept you from looking too deeply. They were what kept you looking the other way. But now you're learning to face yourself with courage, to face the discomfort for the sake of clarity. But to do that, you also have to learn to meet yourself with compassion rather than condemnation. And this period of incubation or germination is a very important part of the process. And what comes next can also be discomforting. Like a seed that has begun to swell within its shell, you might feel tense and uncomfortable. And that's when the shell begins to crack and break, pieces begin to fall away. That's when our old beliefs about who we are and what life is all about are suddenly cast in doubt. And that's when we feel most confused or disillusioned, like we've lost all sense of direction, that nothing makes sense anymore, when old paradigms and identities no longer fit. And the breaking of that shell, the breaking of the old identity, can be quite painful at times. Our identity gives us a sense of cohesion and comfort. It's like the anchor of our experience, and without it, we feel adrift, as if thrown about by the waves or carried off into places that are unfamiliar. But the shell needs to crack and be cast away. It needs to be discarded so that the seed can rise up from the soil and emerge into the light, where it can continue to grow and unfold. Growth can often feel uncomfortable, disorienting, and even painful at times. And that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It often means you're doing something real. And this is where gentleness really matters. If you meet this process with judgment or condemnation, it will only get in the way. If you meet it with impatience, it will only slow you down. If you're constantly checking in to see if there's any progress, it's like digging up the seed to see if it's growing. But that doesn't help it grow. it actually disrupts the process. So we need to be patient and compassionate, and to allow the process to unfold in its own timing. And this process also requires self-acceptance, which might sound contrary to growth, but it's actually the condition by which growth becomes possible. Because acceptance allows space for growth. Condemnation stifles it. So you can accept yourself as you are, while also recognizing that there is room to grow. Self-acceptance means recognizing your flaws, your failings, your unhealthy habits, without being defined by them. And as long as you aren't defined by them, you're not confined by them. And that means that there is the possibility to grow beyond them. But growth can be slow. Growth can be invisible at times. Growth can be uncomfortable. And so it's important to have perspective and to know that darkness doesn't have to mean despair, that stillness isn't always stagnation, that discomfort doesn't always point to failure, and that taking your time doesn't mean you're falling behind. Learn to trust in the process. Trust that something is unfolding, even if you can't see it yet. And most importantly, be patient with yourself. Be gentle. Be kind.